So, I'd like to set the intention of our practice today with a sentiment of loving kindness. One of the things that I think we are all recovering is this innate Buddha nature within everybody that is enormously gentle and compassionate, full of understanding and patience, and above all things, kind and loving. So let's pick a lovely sentiment of metta. Let's pick something bright and colorful. This is a good one. This is for anybody who is harboring a nonsensical notion that to praise ourselves, to take stock of the good things that we're doing is somehow wrong and boastful and arrogant and too full of pride or something really perverted like that. And instead, let's follow this encouragement. May you applaud yourself. Good job. May you applaud yourself. Good job. I don't know where we became so convinced that negative reinforcement was somehow the most motivating way to learn and grow. Certainly, when I was training my dog, it was all about positive reinforcement, encouragement, nurturance, praise. And I think for so many of us, we have a harsh enough inner critic that I think the notion of becoming bloated with pride is a pretty minimal risk. So applaud yourselves for being here today. Welcome, everyone. This is Recovery Dharma. My name is Julia. I'm one of the facilitators of this beautiful Sangha, and I invite you all to arrive fully to this practice. For the month of May, we are going to be exploring a concept called boundaries, and we are working on cultivating healthy boundaries. And I would like to take this particular idea, this particular concept. I'd like to take the approach slowly and reverently. I'd like to take time to deconstruct what boundaries are and what boundaries are not. And I'd like to invite the frame of our boundaries to be the four foundations of mindfulness. So today, I'd like to invite you to relax and receive. And I encourage you to put the body in a posture that feels completely at ease. And this might include lying down. It might include going for a walk. It might include sitting with Sarah at the beach. It might be sitting outside on your deck. Just any place where you can allow these words and my voice to flow gently like a breeze in and out of your consciousness while your mind and your thoughts wander, while your emotions rise and fall, while the sensation in the bodies is tight and resting, while stories in the mind come to fruition and then are surrendered to the vastness of the sky and cosmos. To begin this practice, I'd like to engage your creativity and your imagination. And I'd like you to imagine yourself in a beautiful landscape. And I'd like you to imagine that you are putting forth wise effort and wise action, wise mindfulness and wise concentration, wise understanding and wise intention to create and build a healthy boundary around your space. And I'd like you to play with the idea of a shape. And I'd like you to feel encouraged to have any shape you want. Could be a perfect square, could be a triangle, could be multiple squiggly lines, but something that is framed and enclosed, surrounding you, beautiful, spacious, safe. I'm no engineer. I'm good at many things, but engineering is not one of them. If you need a bridge built, I am the last person you want on that job. But I do know that whenever we build a structure, it is important to have a solid frame and a couple of anchor points around which this frame rests and can feel supported. Another word for support is to sister. Today, we are going to set in our space 4 distinct anchor points that will frame our space, leaning into which we will sister our boundary in the coming days and weeks. Those 4 anchor points are foundational, and they are the 4 mindfulness practices, the 4 mindfulness awarenesses. And the beauty of these anchor points is we can touch upon them all day long. We can even, rather than call them an anchor or a foundation, you can call them a touchstone. Whatever suits your own mind and lived experience, make it yours. Make it personal. Make it reflect your life. Use whatever word is alive and resonant and radiant for you. These 4 touchstones are connected energetically and physically. One leads into the other, leads into the other, leads into the other. They are intimately, intricately connected. They inter-are. You cannot have one without the other. Often when people learn about the 4 foundations of mindfulness, there's a particular order in which they are presented, and it usually reflects ease of awareness. It reflects access, ease with which we can access this idea. For instance, the body. That's one of the anchors. That's one of the touchstones. And within the body, we can pay attention to the body's sensations. The 5 senses, feelings of pain, agitation, tightness, sensations of relaxation. And the way to concentrate all of that awareness and experience, we breathe. So taking a moment to bring your attention completely to your body, exactly as it is, and notice what you notice. And what I find so fascinating about it is how quickly my emotions are activated, my thoughts are activated, and my stories are activated. The other three anchor points, the other three touchstones of mindfulness. They're right there. It's so hard to eliminate those other things and just focus on the breath. That's why we practice. And so returning to the body and returning to the breath is always available, and you can touch into it over and over and over again throughout your day. And with that, we can feel sistered and supported also to explore any feelings, any emotions that might be arising. And the practice of mindfulness is enormously spacious, which implies equanimity and inclusivity. This means that whatever emotion we are experiencing, we create space to let it be as it is. We put down the judgments, thoughts, that spiritual practitioners shouldn't get angry, shouldn't be impatient. If we're really practicing with wise intention, then we should always feel happy and serene and calm. It's such a distortion because as we're practicing and training ourselves, what we're gaining access to is all the things that make us whole. As a human being, I have the capacity to feel rage. I have the capacity to notice when disgust is arising, and fear, and prejudice, and vanity, and self-doubt. I also have the capacity for tenderness, and curiosity, and innocence. I have the capacity to be enormously bored, fatigued. I have the capacity to feel highly stimulated and energized. And with all of those feelings are happening in my body. And my body, if I turn my attention back to my body can give me some clues as to what those emotions are. My stomach usually tightens and sours. My shoulders get really tight. My fingers turn into fists. I have apparently a very predominant resting bitch face, I'm told. Particularly when I'm mowing my property and my mind is just wandering. Apparently, my face is wearing a message that just is telling everyone to get the hell out of my way. I don't feel it, but it's on my face. And then with those with those sensations in the body and with those emotions that are arising and moving in the body, I have all kinds of thoughts. Something should be this way or that way is a thought. I'm not doing this right is a thought. I could be doing this better is a thought. And there's no reason to make an enemy of having thoughts. It's really beautiful that we can think and be curious and wonder. The practice is simply noticing, look at that thought, trying to govern my mood. Look at that thought souring my belly. Look at that thought driving the muscles in my body where I feel now reactive and irritated. And it's quick. It's so quick. And that thought is deeply and intimately, with a great deal of complexity, connected to our stories. And our stories also involve our ancestors. The legacy that we witnessed in our parents and our grandparents. We may not have personally witnessed our great-grandparents or great-great-grandparents, but those ancestors have lived in the people that we were able to watch and observe and hear their stories and be guided by their thoughts that then became our thoughts and our stories. And once again, it's not about getting rid of the stories. It's about noticing them, observing them, being curious about them, and perhaps daring to question how true they are. And stories are powerful. Thoughts that turn into stories can determine somebody's trajectory from a very early age. And it takes a lot of resilience and tenacity to question those stories because they seem so real. They at one time seemed so true. And we didn't have the skill and we didn't have the tools to wonder what else is true. And so we were governed by this singular tall tale. These four foundations create the anchor for our space, for our practice, for our lives. And they also create the anchor points, the touchstones for everyone else. To have healthy boundaries, to have healthy relationships with people, we are invited to return to these touchstones repeatedly, to check in with ourselves. What stories am I telling right now? What are my thoughts? Am I carrying agitation in my body? What is that? Am I hungry? And my mood has soured? Is it related to anything that I can track and identify? And the answer might be no, and that's okay. Simply observing, oh wow, I'm experiencing a sour belly and my mood is a little bit cranky, and I'm not actually sure what it's connected to, but I'm just going to sit with that and breathe. And the reason why I want to do that is because an unobserved, unaware sourness can unintentionally spill over into somebody else's space and sour what's going on over there. And why that's a big deal is because it is simply counter to our integrity and our intention, which is to put less harm into the world, to become instruments of peace, to sing and dance songs of loving kindness, compassion, joy, and freedom. And that process begins with each of us in our own landscapes, in our own space, creating an environment that's beautiful, solid, clear, safe. Simply and profoundly, we can achieve all of this when we remember to touch into the body, touch into the mood, touch into our thoughts and our stories. Bear witness to it all with a friendly and gentle curiosity. Take the time required to examine and explore. Offer ourselves patience and understanding. In time, this will change our whole life. And those changes will ripple out and change everything. Yesterday's practice, we heard the wisdom of Thich Nhat Hanh when he said, reconciliation takes place within ourselves. And he reminded us that our bodies need us. Your body needs you. Your feelings need you. Your thoughts need you. Your stories and perceptions need you. Your suffering and your successes need you to acknowledge them. And when you answer the call to all of this need lying, waiting for you, you answer the call to all of this need in the world itself. It begins with you. You are connected to the world. You are, and we need you. But I think that's it. Let's go ahead and end our practice today with a dedication of merit. I really love this book, Moments of Mindfulness, by Thich Nhat Hanh. And one of the reasons why I love it is my mind can be swept away in thinking that I should never get upset. I should be in a wakeful state all the time. And I think that there's a level of aspiration there. But the reality is that the waves are going to come. I'm going to wobble. Maybe I won't fall over as much, but I'm still going to wobble. And it's at that moment that I can remember mindfulness. I have access to it in any given moment. And so we take a deep breath and come into it. Thich Nhat Hanh writes, understanding and love aren't two things. When you understand, you can't help but love. And when you love, you act in a way that can relieve the suffering of people. This is so beautiful to come into practice, to increase our capacity for understanding ourselves and one another so that we can put less harm into the world and more love, more beauty, more wonder. What a wonderful way to dedicate one's life, to add meaning and purpose, to enjoy the moment. Thank you for your beautiful practice, friends. We'll see you next time. Namaste.